What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the October 3rd edition of OTN's Level Up Live, your home for the hottest takes in gaming news. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John. I am joined, as always, by the king of the courtside. Yes, he is royalty in 83 countries around the world. You may address him as your majesty, or you can call him Joey. Either one works. Joey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. None of those countries, in fact, are placed on this particular Earth. They're far, far away. So we'll have to cover those another show. With that being said, John, it has been a lighter week in gaming news. There hasn't really been a ton going on, which sometimes is nice, right? Like, we don't have any crazy layoffs. We don't have any crazy bad news to cover either. It's just not really too much going on. We have some Game Pass additions, a few little updates here and there, some new content coming out for things. But for the most part, it should be a lighter show tonight, guys.
You know, it's always nice when we don't have to talk about layoffs.
Yeah, it is. It's very nice. It's been few and far between, though, it feels like this year, unfortunately.
Right. Nation, something we do enjoy talking about is your ability to stalk us on the interwebs. That is right. We make it easy for you. Make sure you follow the show on X or Twitter or whatever Elon calls it. And Facebook, it is at OTN Media. It is that simple, at OTN Media. And while you're on, actually, we're also on Threads and Instagram because they are one and the same. OTN_media. And while you're on Threads, Twitter, Instagram, all of the above, and X, Twitter, whatever, make sure you give Joey and myself a follow. You can find Joey at Courtside King and myself. You can find me. Hi, I'm John. You can find me at Is This Thing John on all of those platforms if you wish to follow us for our daily shenanigans, hot takes when news actually breaks, arguing about sports, arguing about does Joey's achievement hunting really mean anything in the long-term scheme of life. You can find all that fun banter on there, as well as our Discord, discord.me/OTN. Join today. Come join the party, play some games. A Nation while the live show on the YouTubes. Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk like boomers today. Is the place to be. We do offer the show in podcast form because we do understand you have a busy life. Check out the Level Up podcast available on your podcatcher of choice. Fake echo. All right, Joey. So likes, thumbs up on YouTube is always fun. Subs are fun too. Follow along. Click that like and subscribe. Slap the bell. All that stupid crap you can say on YouTube now. Joey, what the hell are we talking about today?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Once again, light show today. We're talking a little bit of all of our big main platform holders, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. Nintendo, very light in the news. We have a little bit of Pokemon Unite action as well as an emulator update. PlayStation, we're simply talking about PS Plus Essentials. And then over to Xbox, again, not too much here either. We have Game Pass editions. We have a little bit of a change with their app functionality on mobile. Starfield Shatter Space expansion has launched. The Stalker 2 documentary has as well. And then the bulk of our show will be PC/multi-gaming news today. John, we have that world's first clear from Team Liquid over there in World of Warcraft.
Yes, sir.
We have Epic on an Unreal Engine launch everywhere with Epic. Devolver Digital with a new platform, Insider Gaming with some updated news on AC Shadows, and more.
All right, Joe, before we dive into this, I do have to ask you a question. I know it's a hotly debated topic in esports, in gaming, just in life. You know, the question is, when you game or stream in this case, do you wear shoes and socks?
Oh. Ooh, that's a good question.
What are you wearing right now? I mean, on your feet is what I really mean.
So this would be my basic. I have socks and I have slippers.
Okay. Socks, and you're a socks and slipper kind of guy.
Yeah, we're a very Japanese household in the sense that we don't like to drag dirt across our carpets. So we generally take shoes off. So yeah, I just kind of keep it going as I go.
Fun fact, not just Japanese. Two,
that's just where I always see it, right? It's like in every anime. You see it everywhere.
Anime.
Blue Lock is coming out, by the way. 2 days, I think.
I know.
Season 2.
Yeah.
Right
Joey, Love is Blind, the new episode, the new season on Netflix. Wait for it, Joey. Takes place in Washington, D.C.
I knew that, actually.
Yeah,
I knew someone who... I don't think he made the show, but he did apply.
We'll have to discuss afterwards because I went to a Wizards game last season. And there was clearly a Love is Blind taping going on in one of the suites, but we're not going to talk about that. Spoiler alert for episode 7. That's probably what's going to happen. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm nasty, Joey. I'm not wearing socks. It's just the bare feet today. We're going.
Beautiful.
We're going only feet today on.
Hey, if you guys are lucky,
YouTube.
stay around for the after show. We'll post pictures of those.
You do not want to see these.
Those
Joey,
are subs only, though, guys. Subs only for this.
They don't want to see that, but something they do want to see, Joey, is, of course, our drink of choice before we dive headfirst into today's topics. Joey, your beverage, please.
Absolutely, sir. Today I'm going to Ireland. We have a Guinness.
Going where?
To Ireland.
Oh.
Across the rainbow, hanging out with the leprechauns.
So you're going to be
This
chewing.
head was actually perfect before the show, but it started to go down a little bit. I think we're at like a half to 3/4 of an inch now.
Fam, I'm pretty sure you know the joke I want to say. I'm not going to say it. Well done, Joey. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Because last week I debuted a new beverage. It came in a 4-pack, so this is drink number 2 of the 1911 Donut Cider. Small batch, crafted in the Big Apple. Who would have guessed? New York. Gluten-free to all of my friends who suffer from celiac disease out there, or who are gluten intolerant, or who may be living a gluten-free lifestyle. This is your cider of choice. And again, charity sip. Oh, it's so good. It's a crime how good that is. Joey, we have our beverages. We have our topics. Our feet are free. We are ready to go. Let's see here. Oh, the Red Demon is up first. Let's go over and check out our good friends at Nintendo.
Absolutely. This first bit of news is a little bit of a surprise to me, John, and I think you're probably the one of the two of us who's played it most often. Pokemon Unite is starting to end service in select European markets. So far, they've announced Belgium and the Netherlands. I thought this game was doing pretty well. I know it's fallen off a little bit here and there. Obviously, Europe being one of those markets that has fallen off in. But to see servers already shutting down, it's only been out for, 3-4 years now, I feel like. And MOBAs are one of those games that we typically don't see servers shut down in, right? Like we had that one Paragon, I think, from Epic Games, that one shut down. But outside of that, League of Legends has been around forever, Dota 2 forever. Heroes of the Storm is still around to this day as well. So we have seen a lot of these MOBAs last a very long time, even with the ups and downs of waning player populations. So to see Tencent and Nintendo here starting to shut down servers is a little bit of a surprise, given, I don't know how many resources it takes to run Pokemon Unite, let that be known. With that being said, I feel like a lot of these games do print money even with a smaller player population. So I'm thinking this will not be widespread. I think it will still be in select markets that they start to shut down here. I think the big ones will still stay around. With that being said, it looks like they're not afraid to shut down those markets. So if you do enjoy the game in a smaller country or a smaller player population for this game, may want to invite some friends to play with you because it could be on the chopping block.
Yeah, Belgium and the Netherlands, I want small. But yeah, it sucks. I think the biggest issue with this game, right, is and you mentioned a little bit the mobile market's so saturated right now, right? It's kind of like a battle royale, not as bad as a battle royale, I should say, but it's a mobile game. It's on Switch, so it's easy access. It has easy accessibility, but it almost feels like they're marketing towards the wrong player group, right? You look at the game, it looks like a kid-friendly game. It looks like a game that, 7-year-old Stevie over here can pick up and try to play on a Switch or on mom and dad's phone or whatever. And then you get into the shops, and then the shops are a little complicated, and it's like any other typical free-to-play game that has a shop. There's stuff that you can buy, and then you take a look at the pricing on that stuff that you can buy, and that's where it gets a little ridiculous. Or it's like, oh yeah, you can play to earn, and oh yeah, by the way, you need to get to like 1.5 million stars in 4 days playing games that give you 25 stars a game to get said thing, or you can pay $50 and buy it outright. It's almost like forcing you to either flunk out of school and play Pokemon Unite full time, quit your job, which then you can't afford the $50 to buy it, and play it full time. I don't know. I just feel like Pokemon Unite I don't think it's being managed very well overall. It's a fun game, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like a stereotypical Nintendo thing here, right? It's a universal online multiplayer game. And for whatever reason, when it comes to anything that's competitive or multiplayer, it just feels like Nintendo kind of drops the ball a little bit sometimes. Yeah, you have your Mario Party in-house where you all play on the same screen. That's one thing. But it feels like anytime it's multiplayer over the internet, over a server, Nintendo just drops the ball hard. And I think that's what we're seeing here.
Well, Nintendo Online has really not been known for great service either, right? Like even Mario Kart Online, I feel like was shaky. And you can blame people's internet, sure, but I think part of it is just the way Nintendo has set up their servers. I don't think they're the most stable. Now, I don't know if this was Nintendo servers or Tencent servers that managed this one. With that being said, yeah, it is a little bit of a surprise. We do see some shutdowns here. Those markets must be very small for this game. Belgium and the Netherlands in particular in this one, and they don't really list out any other countries. So I don't know if there's some other ones on the chopping block out there. I don't honestly know where this game is released either. With it being a Tencent published game, or I think Nintendo publishes, but Tencent developed, I would assume that this is probably in many, many different countries between those two, but you never quite know exactly. But yeah, overall, John, a little bit surprised by this one. Again, it's similar to Sony with Concord, though, right? They cut the string when they noticed the game was not doing well. Obviously, Pokemon Unite has been out a lot longer than the 1 week that Concord lasted. But overall, Nintendo and Tencent not really going to give this one extra time to sit out there in markets that it is starting to die in. They're just going to kind of cut it off and keep it moving.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's a fun game. If you haven't played it, I suggest giving it a shot. It's just...
And I like that they changed some things up, right? Like HOTS did the same thing. That was one of the things that made Heroes of the Storm stand out from League of Legends and Dota. There were quite a few nice differences that really set Unite apart with the whole scoring system. You go out, you grab the little Pokeballs, you dunk them in to score. I think that played out pretty well, in my opinion, and it kind of dumbs down that mobile model to make it more kid-friendly, like you were saying. It's not quite as tactical. I mean, there are tactics. Don't get me wrong, guys. Don't kill me. But it's a little bit easier for a younger audience to understand than, say, League of Legends, for example.
Yeah.
The final bit of Nintendo news here this week, and this is a little sad, but I get where Nintendo's coming from, and I don't fault them as much on this one as I do the Pal World lawsuit. The final remaining Nintendo Switch emulator, Ryuji NX, has been shut down by Nintendo. This is also a phonics class, guys, in case you didn't notice. I mean, I'm not surprised by this, right, John? Nintendo's been going friggin' after everyone this year. They've shut down, I think, 3 or 4 emulators now. They've shut down Gary's Mod stuff that was around for like 20 or 30 years, some wild number of years before Nintendo took any notice of it. So they have been on a rampage. The Power World lawsuit last week that we mentioned. So Nintendo is kind of coming after everyone, whether you're an emulator, whether you're using their properties in some way. They're definitely nailing down the hammer this year, it seems. And now we see that final at least for now, Nintendo Switch emulator fall.
Yeah, it makes sense. Obviously, you want to protect your IP. Emulators, essentially give your IP away for little cost or free in most cases, and that's never good. It's unfortunate. It sucks, but at the same time, just buy a Switch. Like, I'm not trying to give Nintendo more money. They have enough money to do whatever the heck they want to do. Hell, I'm pretty sure they have enough money they could actually make a real life, living, breathing Mario and Luigi. But at the same time, you have to respect intellectual property, and that's what it comes down to. It's unfortunate. I've used emulators before. I'm pretty sure most gamers have. But it sucks. I mean, is this going to be the last one that pops up? Absolutely not. Give it time. There'll be more that pop up. Nintendo will go after them. Also, you'll have like a couple of years to play with them, then they'll be shut down also.
Yeah, I mean, the key here, like, again, it's not a surprise that Nintendo is coming after another emulator. I think the thing that a lot of people want to see from Nintendo now is if you're going to shut all these down, make your older games accessible.
Yes.
And we start to see a little bit of that with some of the new Switch Online changes. But I really hope this is not the route they go. If they come out with a Switch 2 and it does not have backwards compatibility for Switch 1, I think Nintendo is going to take a ton of flack for that. I think it's a feature in today's day and age that you just have to have. Ever since Xbox introduced it, we've seen PlayStation adopt it. We've seen more and more emulators pop up as a result of it. Everyone wants access to these legendary games of childhood past, whether it was their childhood and they want that nostalgia drip, whether it was their parents' childhood and they want a different way of connecting with them. It's one of the things we see a demand for more and more in today's day and age, not just those new games, but access to the old games. Maybe it's a remastered edition. Maybe it's the straight up original version. But one thing Nintendo has not done a great job of is moving those games forward. So far, I mean, again, they've made wild improvements over the last couple of years, and they've made any decades before this with stuff going on Nintendo Switch Online and becoming accessible through that program. But it's one of the things that players are still wanting to see more and more of. Give us access to more of those legendary older Nintendo titles. Anything else to say on Nintendo, John, either Pokemon Unite or this emulator shutdown?
No, I mean, again, I recommend Pokemon Unite. It's a very laid-back MOBA. You're not going to get as tilted as you will in League of Legends. And then, just wait a couple months. There'll be another emulator up.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks. So with that being said, let's head over to the blue corner to talk PlayStation. Again, not a ton this week for PlayStation. They did have a little bit more in the news the last couple weeks with Concord and Astrobot and the PlayStation State of Play. But for now, we have PS Plus's essential titles for October ready and up for grab. Those are going to be WWE 2K24 for PS5 and PS4 users. PS5 users also get Dead Space, and then PS4 and PS5 users can also chop it up with Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. That is definitely a trippy title if you guys have not played that. So you got a little bit of everything here. You got some sports, you got some horror action for October, and I would lean it a little bit toward the horror category as well with Doki Doki Literature Club.
Doki Doki is such a good game. If you don't know anything about it, you're gonna download this game, go into a thing. It's like some kind of like anime woo dating simulator. It is anything but that. It is wild. It is absolutely crazy. I would highly recommend that one. Honestly, out of these on here, I think Doki Doki is probably the one I would recommend. It's a lot of fun. But
it's very different.
It gets
very different.
It gets very weird, very quick. Very quick.
So there you have it, guys. 2 games for PS4 users, 3 for PS5. Nice little variety there, and definitely a trippy one at the end with Doki Doki. Check those out if you are on PlayStation. Over to the green corner, we have some Game Pass editions available now. This is a lot of games, a lot of this being because a number of them got announced at the Tokyo Game Show last week. So everything is now available. We have a confusing one up top. We'll talk about that in a minute. That is MLB The Show 24, now available on console standard tiers. Open Roads, also now available on console standard. Sifu for cloud console PC. All of these for cloud console PC moving forward. All you need is help. Legend of Mana, Trials of Mana, and We Love Katamari Reroll Royal Reverie. And there's a plus in there, but we're just going to ignore that I didn't say that. With that being said, John, MLB The Show and Open Roads. I thought both of these were already on Game Pass. You and I have actively played them on Game Pass. So I'm really not sure what happened here. They were on the console tier of Game Pass. Maybe when it moved from console to standard, a new agreement had to be signed with the publisher. Maybe it just wasn't included at the launch of console standard. I don't really know what happened, but it looks like MLB The Show 24 and Open Roads are back on it. With that being said, it has always been on my Xbox, so I never got bumped for the Ultimate.
And honestly, that's why I think it is. I think because they're creating that new tier, this is kind of a way to like let people know, hey, even the lower tier, less expensive tier, you're going to get MLB The Show, right? It's a new product they're putting out there. I mean, Jai, I messaged you on Discord about this. I was like, wait, I'm confused. But like, I've had time to think about it. And I think what they're trying to do is essentially, you know, think of it like this way. A new phone business, a new phone carrier starts up, right? They're going to be like, oh, hey, by the way, we have the iPhone 16. It's like, yeah, everyone's had the iPhone 16. But if you're looking for a new phone carrier, you're like, oh, well, this is going to be interesting. Let's take a look at this phone carrier. Oh, they also have the iPhone 16. It's like, it's not breaking news, but it's just reiterating, hey, you still get this game for a lower price point for this new standard edition of Xbox Game Pass. Now, pardon me, I think the real question is going to be, will this be on standard at launch next go around, next year? Obviously, into baseball season, regular season has come into this past Sunday. We are well into the wild card rounds. In fact, there's a game 3 tonight for a wild card where hopefully the Mets lose against the Brewers. That'd be freaking amazing. And then the divisional series start this weekend. Joey, your Phillies are somehow in there. We don't want to talk about it. Anywho, but it's the end of the season, and that's typically when sports games get put on these passes, is towards the end of the year. So the question is going to be, for standard, is it going to be on it at launch, a little bit after launch, or is it going to be like FIFA or EAFC, pardon me, don't sue me, showing up on Game Pass at the end of the soccer/football season come June, July timeframe? That's going to be the big question. But as of right now, you're a baseball fan. You don't want to pay for the ultimate tier. Totally understand. You can also get it on the standard tier. Congratulations. Come check out one of the best games Sony Santa Monica has put out in a very long time.
Agreed. And honestly, one of the best sports games out there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
MLB The Show has done a very good job. And like, they had some bugs at launch this year, sure. But if you look at most of the EA games that have come out this year, almost every single one of them has had so many game-breaking bugs at launch. It's taken a few big patches here and there to kind of get them cleaned up. I feel like of all the sports games, maybe every single one so far this year, MLB The Show has been one of the cleanest at launch as far as getting those bugs worked out. So a nice little formula going on over there. And John, do you remember, is this the second or third year that we saw this launch on Game Pass? Do you remember?
Third year.
Third year in a row. Okay. So I have a feeling this is going to launch in all tiers next year. We'll see. I mean, it's possible it does only go ultimate, but at least based on I would say the number of sales they've had on packs, they will probably keep shipping this day one would be my guess onto Game Pass.
Especially if they're going to sell early access by like 4 days for $35.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, this last go around, we broke it down. It's actually a great deal. You start the game early, they give you a bunch of packs. You know, you're getting a lot for that $35 early access. So, I mean, if you're a fan of the game and you want to get a head start on packs, or like you want to start getting gear for your Road to the Show player, $35 is not a bad deal to get early access to start grinding that out, plus 10 packs and a whole bunch of coins and stuff. I think it's a really, really good deal. And I really wish a certain company that goes by 2 letters figures that one out also. That's EA for you. That's
wow. Yeah,
EA.
I was like, huh?
It's confusing.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot there. If you're an Ultimate Team player, especially, I think the value is there. I think the biggest value, it was like, what, 10 packs or something around there, plus the currency?
Oh, yeah. It was great.
Yeah, it was quite a bit. I have a few more Game Pass titles coming for the rest of Wave 1, which wraps up October 15th. October 7th, you'll be getting Mad Streets, available cloud, console, and PC. And October 10th, you get one of the highest rated games of the last couple of years in Inscription. That one's coming cloud, console, and PC as well. Again, October 10th. For those wanting to wrap up, there's quite a few space games leaving here on October 15th. That is Dyson Sphere Project, Everspace 2, From Space, F1 Manager 2023, and Scorn. So if you want to get those in, you can buy them now for 20% off before the 15th, or you can go ahead and wrap up your playthroughs before they go away. Next up, Xbox has merged its Game Pass mobile app into the standard Xbox app, and it's available now. John, I don't know if you've had a chance to check this out. I think it looks super clean, nice and easy. They pretty much just took everything the Game Pass app did, slid it into the mainline app. Now your profile, instead of being in the bottom right, is in the top left, and then there's a Game Pass button in the bottom right. You click on that, it pretty much looks exactly like the Game Pass app did. So they really just moved that full app into that little tab, bada bing, bada boom. You can scroll through the catalog however you want to. You can randomize and find different things by genre. You can search alphabetically, whatever you want to do, and you can queue up your download right in there as well. Nice and easy. One of the things Xbox gets criticized for is that people want the store to return. There used to be a store in the Xbox app itself. Well, guys, hate to tell you, I do not think that is coming back anytime soon. And you got to speak to your boys at Microsoft, or not Microsoft, rather Google and Apple on that one. Microsoft do not want to pay the high tax on everything sold in that store to Google and Apple, because they are already giving a percentage of that to the developers as well and the publishers. And it doesn't make sense, I guess, financially from them. Again, I don't see their financials, but it seems like a lot of people are doing this, or they are pulling their storefront to either a separate link or whatever the case may be, as opposed to putting it natively on those two mobile platforms. Maybe the EU Commission, as they continue to nail down on Apple and Google in that sense for kind of their mobile duopoly per se, maybe we do eventually see the store come back, but I wouldn't get your hopes up too high on that one, at least for the time being. John, turning this one over to you, Bethesda has launched Starfield's first expansion, Shattered Space. We all know I have not had time to play it because I have not finished the main campaign. I don't think you have either, since Clue has been nagging you to kind of get your college football games in, and obviously World of Warcraft's War Within, on top of other things that do happen in life. But so far, this one has been getting some mixed reviews. It seems like a lot of people love the setting, but the story itself is kind of short. I don't know if you've had a chance to dive in at all or look at anything. I'm excited to eventually make my way over there, but I think you'll beat me to it.
Yeah, probably. Let me go ahead and get this queued up and get this on screen here for everyone. Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is a very typical Bethesda launch. It's going to be mixed. I mean, it's an expansion. It's going to be mixed. I can't think of too many expansions where, you know, they're not really episodic here or anything. It's just a standalone small story that you're paying for a season pass for, right? So you get this and like what was it, one other expansion also? Or
yeah, I think it's like 2 expansions.
Yeah, like, or it's like you buy it for $20, right? So it just extends the story a little bit. It's not a World of Warcraft expansion where you're gonna get live service and content update over a 2-year time span for this one expansion, where you're going to get hours and hours and hours of playable features where you have a bunch of side quests. I mean, you do have a bunch of side quests, but maybe not here in this expansion, because this seems fairly like a linear story. So, I mean, maybe it is too short. Maybe it's only a couple hours. Maybe it's as bad as the last Call of Duty kind of campaign where you're done in 32 seconds because boring. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, this is just meant to extend the story a little bit, right? There's a lot of different things happening in the main Starfield game that people have questions about. One of them happens to be about a religious cult that this expansion is talking about, the House of Varun. It expands it, right? So it's going to be probably a handful of missions. It's going to expand the story a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's probably going to give you some cool things to go back into the main game and replay, go through New Game Plus a couple more times, or do whatever you need to do to just make the overall game experience a little bit better for you by giving you a little bit more lore. To be completely honest, the fact that we're hearing complaints that the story is meh, that doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of people that think the main storyline of Starfield is very meh. My argument has always been you offer way too many side quests. No offense, Joey. People get distracted and they forget what the story was in the main storyline. So it's like, okay, cool. You start the main story, but then you spend the next 18 hours bringing coffee to some executive on the top level on Neon, and you forget what you're doing, right? You go back to the main storyline. It's like, and you go to pick it up and you're just like, wait a minute, what am I doing again? And there's really like no way to like recap either. So I think that's part of the issue, is that you want to have enough content to make people entertained and keep playing and coming back and playing again. But at the same time, you have too much content, people are going to get sidetracked and they're going to forget what they already know about the game. And then they're going to be like, oh, well, the story didn't really resonate with me. Or, oh, I didn't really connect with it. It seemed like it was all over the place. Yeah, because you probably did every single one of the bajillion side quests in this game, or you were dumb enough to try to land in New York City on Earth manually without coordinates. And I hate to break it to you, like every pixel is like 10,000 miles that you try to land. Good freaking luck. But, you know, that's my thing. If you play straight through the story mode, the story is actually pretty good. It's pretty straightforward. I wouldn't say it's anything groundbreaking, but it's a very straightforward story. And I think that's what we have here in Shattered Space also. It's very straightforward on a very niche topic, and that's what people are going to be upset about.
I also think, and again, I haven't played it, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's tough to define playtime in a Bethesda game.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's so many side quests, because there's so many areas to explore, especially with this being a fully handcrafted planet. Someone's experience of 1 to 2 hours could be them just doing the storyline. Someone else's experience of 6 hours could be storyline, plus they went off and did some side quests. So it's just, I think it's very hard to define how long a story actually is in the expansion. But also the other thing is, like, what is your expectation for expansion length? Like, John, maybe it's just me, but I don't feel like many of them go over like 3 to 5 hours. Like a lot of these, obviously World of Warcraft is a different story. But if you look at, like, I don't know, Assassin's Creed, you look at like Call of Duty hasn't had one recently, but like, what's an expansion? Control I played recently. Like a lot of these expansions, you're not going to get like a full 10-hour story. You're going to get something that's like in that 2 to 3, maybe 5 max hour time frame. So if people are playing this and it's like 2 to 3 hours, I think that stands in line with what you're getting with a lot of other game expansions, not to mention all the exploration and everything that you can do as well. So again, I'm not going to fully defend it without playing it. I'm still playing the main storyline once again, but I do feel like they have delivered where people are asking on the handcrafted environment rather. This is not procedurally generated at all. Everything is fully handcrafted. That was a big thing. Fans wanted more handcrafted locations. It sounds like they delivered on that. People wanted to explore more of like the religions and also have more alien creatures from the trailers. It looks like they've delivered on both of those as well. The storyline may be lackluster, but again, we can't really report on that as of yet since we haven't had a chance to play it. But if you guys are interested in this one, as John mentioned, I don't know if it's still available, but the little Starfield add-on edition for Game Pass was great. I think we paid like $30 or whatever. Got this expansion and the next. Got a soundtrack, digital art book, and all that good stuff for that nice little upgrade price. Highly recommend if you're on Game Pass, that is a good option if it's still available. If not, I'm sure you can get a discount on this, 20% off if you're on Game Pass. And again, I don't know the full price. I would guess somewhere in like the $15, $20 range, John. Not 100% sure, but somewhere around there, I'd assume.
Yeah.
Last but not least for Xbox, we mentioned it last week and I mentioned it again this week because it now has officially launched. War Game, The Making of Stalker 2 is now available on Xbox's YouTube page. We've praised them before for this in the past. Xbox has made some really good documentaries. They really made a really good, nice 5-part one for their 20-year anniversary, where John really nailed it, describing it last time, saying how much they went in depth and kind of peeled back the curtain of stuff you normally don't see executives say and admit to faults they may have made along the process. I don't know if this one will be similar to that, but I have a feeling it is going to be very raw. This is footage, a lot of it taped over in Ukraine, a lot of it being taped after Russia attacked. So the fact that we are kind of seeing a development team living in Ukraine, going through all of this, where there are people outside potentially dying. I have not watched the documentary yet, but I'm sure family members of many of these developers were involved. I know some of the developers left the studio to go fight in the war themselves. Others ended up trying to evacuate their families to other countries like Poland, I know was a popular one. So it's going to be a very heartfelt, very deep documentary of not only game development on the game Stalker 2 set to release later this year, but a lot more of the human aspects as well and some of the dangers and very unfortunate things that come with war as well. So if you guys want to check that out, again, it'll be very heartfelt. It will not be for the faint of heart. That documentary should be up on YouTube, about a 90-minute runtime. War Game, The Making of Stalker 2. Available on Xbox's YouTube page. Anything else to say on any of this, John, before we head over to our PC section?
No, sir. Just
okay,
gearing
let's
up
talk
our
PC.
next clip.
Yeah, I had a feeling you'd have this one ready. Narubar Palace. We have a world's first clear from Team Liquid on this one. Took 404 pulls on the final boss. John, walk us through this final moments clip.
At a pristine 3:01 a.m. Eastern time. On the last pull on day 12, Team Liquid did the unthinkable. Not only did they smack down those EU fools in Echo, but they were able to take down the final boss, Queen Ansarak. She is a feisty boss. I've played her on both LFR and normal. Heroic is up next. I got to get my eye level and my DPS fine-tuned a little bit more before I can even attempt to go into Heroic. But these guys are the best of the best. Joey, I'm going to use a different clip because that one does not show the reaction of the entire guild afterwards. It just shows their leader, Maximum, who's awesome. He's been around forever. He's a really cool guy. I believe there is no music, so we should be able to play this with sound on so you can get the reactions here. This is from Team Liquid's YouTube page. What they do in this video is, one, I'm going to start it right before THD makes the raid saving play to allow this clear to happen. And then you'll see the reaction right afterwards. I do believe there is some choice language in here, so just keep that in mind as well. For our podcast listeners, we'll put a link in the description.
Sure.
Just another reason why you should be watching it live. And obviously on the replay on the VOD, you'll see it here too. But we'll go ahead and get this on over here.
Everyone relax and just do this right, okay?
So Maximus, you can hear him in the background.
Put the portals right. Heal the portal people.
Just to set this up, this is from the perspective of TH. He plays Warlock. In this phase, after lines, there's going to be ads that spawn. You crack the shield, you down the ads, and these orbs of essence appear. You have to get all of the orbs of essence before the outer ring, right there on the on the gold side on the right corner of your screen, before that forms and touches the orb. If it touches the orb, it is a 100% entire wipe regardless. There's nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah,
So this is THD on your screen.
Good, they're there.
So we are getting
Relax
down
and make sure you get your shit, okay? Healers, keep everyone
to the
alive.
final
Make sure we're
8%.
nice and stacked. Guys, if we literally just make it through the ring, it's dead, okay?
So here comes the ring.
Okay.
There's an essence way over
Hey,
here.
just grab your fucking
That's
shit.
the ring that's
Now
about to
watch lines,
form.
watch lines.
THD grabs
Grab
it,
it. Anyone grab it. Anyone grab it.
misses the lines,
Okay.
takes the portal to get across. Now there's two players that have to set the entry portal and the exit portal, one on either side of this, and you have to take it right at the right time to get it across. Again, if you're carrying an essence, you have to not touch the line. You get across, and then this is the final moment that occurred at 3:01 a.m. Eastern time.
Okay, make it through, and spread out. Watch Sang.
Rest.
It's fine. Do not touch an essence. Do not touch an essence and res Sang.
There's an essence all the way at the end.
It's fine. Just do not touch the essence. It's fucking dead.
Come on!
Okay.
Hey, come on.
Let's go.
So this is awesome. Like this has become a thing with World of Warcraft where people race to get these final moments, right? So this is a group of 20 people all throughout the Alienware Performance Center in Santa Monica, California with Team Liquid. Beautiful state-of-the-art facility out there, not just for World of Warcraft, but for their League of Legends team and all the other teams Liquid competes in. This is where they were competing. They were in 4 different rooms, healers, DPS, tanks, you name it. They were all over the place. And just seeing them run all over this building to celebrate this kill. This was the most viewed Race to Worlds First in history. It's become must-watch streaming if you are into World of Warcraft or you're into like international races, because again, it's midnight in Santa Monica when they do this. It's 3 o'clock on the East Coast. The European guilds are just starting up as they're finishing. If they don't get this kill, that gives Method, that gives Echo a chance to make some damage. It gives the Asian guilds as well, that were competing, to make some damage as well and make progress. In this case, Liquid was a solid 15% ahead of everyone. It was going to take them forever. In fact, Echo was able to clear 3 days later. So they had a little bit of leeway here, but that's just how God tier Liquid was in this race to first. It was absolutely incredible. I know I enjoy it, not just because I'm a WoW player, but I enjoy the competition, knowing that when you decide to stop, you give the other guilds that opening to make something happen. Like, I don't know about you, I could not sleep at night knowing that. I'd want to go 24/7 until I got this
yeah, but see,
squash.
that's the issue as well. Like, you look at like Fnatic and League of Legends Worlds, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years back, they stayed up all night practicing because they were going up against a Korean powerhouse team. And what happened the day of the finals? They all came out tired and exhausted because they over practiced themselves.
Yeah.
So that rest is super important too. And that's like the strategy of it, right? Finding the balance. How hard do we push ourselves? When do we decide to rest? When do we give Method and Echo that chance to catch up to us? But yeah, John, I love this. I think this is so cool that World's First has become a bigger and bigger thing over the last couple of years. I can't think of anyone that really does it like World of Warcraft. And part of that is the surging player numbers, right? Like, the player numbers have been coming back up with the latest expansion with the Dragon Isles. And then once again here with the War Within, we keep seeing those numbers up and up. Blizzard is doing something right with World of Warcraft once again, kind of finding its place. Not that it ever lost its place in first as the biggest MMO, but once again, kind of solidifying that throne. With that being said, John, this is not the only raid, correct? We're going to see, is it another 2 raids in this expansion, or am I wrong on that?
Yeah, there'll be another 2 raids. The next one will probably be coming, if I had to guess, I mean, they have a timeline I could technically look at.
It's probably what, every 3 to 4 months, something around there.
So there's 3 major content drops, if you will. So this was, so we're currently on 11.05, I believe. So 11.1 is going to be a big one. 11.2 is going to be a big one. 11.3 is going to be the end of the expansion. 11.35 is going to be the pre-patch, and then 12 is going to come out, which is World of Warcraft Midnight, in roughly a 1.5-year time frame from where we're currently at, which is exciting, right? So you're getting major content updates about every 7 months as this game continues on, and you get some time to play with it. You get some time to gear your person up, gear your character up, and do alternates as well. This is very alt-friendly also with the new warband system. Your first character in your warband that gets to 80 gives a 5% XP boost to everyone else in your warband. And cool. If you get 3 of your warband characters up to 80, your 4th one now has a 15% XP boost, making your way all the way through. And it goes quick. Right? If you were around for the days of Cataclysm where you had to get like 4.3 million XP to go from level, what was it, 84 to 85? Joe, I kid you not, 84 to 85 about did me in. It took forever. It took longer to go from 84 to 85 than it did from 80 to 84. It took forever. They dragged it on. Blizzard has understood what they needed to change, and so far, the player base, while there are still some complaints out there, not as much as in the past, they've done an incredible job. I mean, I'm excited. You have me excited. Dragonflight was good also, but it's also hard to go any farther down than you did in Shadowlands, jokingly and serious, because it was their realm of death. But like, it just, I don't know. I think they're doing it right. I think it was gutsy that they announced all 3 expansions in the world. The World Soul Saga. I freaking love it. I think it's great. I have not seen the online community in World of Warcraft this active in years. Probably since Legion. And there's been Legion, BFA, Shadowlands, Dragonflight, War Within. 4 expansions between then and now. This is the most active it's been in probably almost 8-9 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I love that. Especially for a community that's been around for so long. Like they've had, was it their 20th anniversary
20th is coming
recently?
up. Yep.
Yeah. So big anniversary for World of Warcraft. Big accomplishment for Blizzard keeping this game not only going as long as it has, but continuing to now bring that player number back up once again to new peaks. Next up in our PC section, we have Epic and Unreal Engine owned by Epic Games. They have announced launch everywhere with Epic. So what does this mean? Starting January 1st, 2025, developers can reduce their UE royalties from 5% to 3.5%, saving a nice little 1.5% there if they ship their games simultaneously to the Epic Game Store and other stores on PC and Android. So one thing I've realized, John, and I don't know if this is like a long-term thing or if it's just the last couple weeks, but Epic's free game little sale thing has moved from 2 games to 1 game. So now Epic only giving away 1 free game a week to players on PC. We know they've lost billions of dollars doing this over the last couple of years. They've committed to continuing to do it, but it looks like they might be peeling that back just a little bit now and then launching this new program. I like this move from Epic. Do I think it's going to be enough to get people to say, hey, I'm going to go play on Epic Game Store instead of Steam? I don't. I mean, if they're giving away 2 free games a week, now 1 free game, and people are still not playing on the Epic Game Store outside of like Fortnite, do I really think a lot of people are going to make their way over there just because a game is launching over there versus also on Steam? I don't. I just don't think this is enough to do it. Now, if I'm a developer and I can save 1.5% of using the engine just to release my game on another PC platform, 100% I do it. It's easy savings there for the developer. It goes right back into their pockets, so they're not paying for those royalty fees. And then on top of that, you do have the ability to reach more players if there are those players out there, which again, I think is few and far between, that are playing only on the Epic Game Store versus Steam. But at the same point, it does allow more eyeballs on your thing within the storefront. It never hurts to release on other stores. Now, the one area that they could lose money as a developer is if Steam were to, I don't know if Steam does these. Obviously, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo have done them, but exclusivity contracts. I don't know if Steam launches anything like, hey, if you only launch on our platform, we'll give you whatever cut of something. That could be a thing. I can't speak to if it is or not, but that would be where the money loss could potentially be, is if Steam does give out those exclusivity deals. That's the one thing developers would have to keep in mind here accepting this deal. With that, John, I think we can head over to the multi-plat general gaming news section for a couple more topics this week, and then we'll wrap up today's show. Devolver Digital, our good old friends over there at Devolver, have launched a brand new label giving developers licenses to create original game adaptations using the worlds and characters of iconic film, television, and comic properties. This is going to be known as Big Fan. I'm a big fan of this announcement, to be honest, John. One of the things we've seen a lot of indie developers struggle from is getting the ability to use big licenses. You can look at like Disney with all the Disney princesses. You can look at Marvel, also with Disney. Star Wars, also with Disney. Go figure. A lot of these big IPs are with Disney, but there are plenty of other ones outside of there as well. DC Comics is a big popular one. A lot of people like to license for games. And there's a number of other ones from shows to movies. Game of Thrones, I'm sure, will be a big one that we do see come out of this particular development. There's a lot of big properties, though, right? And how do we get them into games? We have to have someone to negotiate on their behalf. Smaller indie devs typically don't have the money to get those big lawyers to go in and negotiate these licenses, to have their name just heard in general in a conference room with Disney. So I think having someone like Devolver Digital, who's been around in the indie space, who's made connections with big publishers, developers, and property managers, now has the ability to kind of speak on behalf of these smaller indie devs to pull some of those iconic licenses to these studios. I think this is a huge win, not only for the smaller developers, not only for Devolver, John, but for the gamers as well.
Yeah, I mean, they've only announced 4 partners so far. Disney, massive. Dark Horse Comics, absolutely huge. Rebellion, HBO. I mean, look, for a website that on their very front page before you scroll down, actually you have to scroll down a little bit. We're a small but passionate team of industry veterans with a single focus, helping independent game developers. We're a small but passionate group that secured Disney, Dark Horse Comics, Rebellion, and HBO. That's pretty impressive. That alone is going to bring people to this platform. And I think you're spot on. I think this is a great way for smaller developers to get licenses to some of these creatives and these IPs that these other companies have to offer that will really help boost whatever they're trying to do in the multimedia space. So I think it's really, really cool. I think it's fantastic, and I like this. Especially if you're a Disney executive, and Disney's been beaten up a little bit. It's gotten a black eye here and there a little bit over the past couple of years. This is actually what we call in the business positive PR. It's weird, right? We're not being negative. We're being nice. We're being positive. Strange, I know. So yeah, is it going to be enough to erase everything Disney has done? And no, it's not. But this is a step in the right direction. This is going to be really cool. Now, I'll be interested to see how open Disney will actually be with sharing their IP with smaller developers. As we know, Disney is pretty strict. I believe there's even a guy on TikTok who's being sued by Disney because his username on TikTok is that of a Disney character. And he's being sued because he's not changing it. So there's probably a lot more to it, but that's just something that pops in my mind. That's something that we would call in the business bad PR. You're suing a like 19-year-old kid who's living at home, like trying to just make content about a character he really likes. And Disney's like, cease and desist, like go away. You can't do this anymore. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with these small content creators and game developers with this partnership here.
Well, let's see what happens indeed. To give you guys an idea of some of those IPs they have secured already, it looks like Reigns, Game of Thrones. They have the Game of Thrones IP. That's probably that HBO partnership you see on there. We have Hellboy included as well, and then John Wick on the list, plus some coming soon still to be announced. So again, John Wick, Hellboy, and Game of Thrones are the three fully announced so far. So we'll keep an eye on what else comes out of this particular partnership. But yes, I'm a big fan of big fan games. I think it's a great opportunity for smaller developers to get their hands on some of these big legendary IPs. Now, guys, don't expect big AAA games, right? You're not going to get a God of War, a Starfield, a Horizon Zero Dawn of these particular games in most cases. Not saying that will 100% not happen. There are some indie devs that are willing to take on that big, potentially 7-8 year project to make some big AAA games in this space. But I do think a lot of the stuff you're going to get is more unique art styles, some more unique playthroughs. You're going to get some very interesting aspects that aren't just your typical third-person narrative adventure game or straight-up FPS, TPS type of game. It's going to be something a little bit more different, a little bit more artistically driven. You might have some cool new mechanics that you haven't seen in games or repurposed in different ways. You might have that cool, unique indie art style. It might have just a different flair to it, and it might be a little bit more simplistic with these IPs as well. So again, that kind of goes to what John was saying. Like maybe Disney doesn't approve everything. I am curious what that approval process will look like and how many of these do go to shipped. But with that being said, I love indie games. I think this is a fun opportunity to give them hands-on with some of the biggest IPs in the world. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about Assassin's Creed Shadows. It has been drama after drama at Ubisoft, John. They pulled their booth from the Tokyo Game Show. They pulled out of the Expedition Show. They've gotten plenty of critique on Shadows, and that included a delay for 1 month to February 2025. Now we do know they have a co-op mode in development, though. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first time in an Assassin's Creed game, at least in a mainline Assassin's Creed game, that we do see co-op into play here. The code name for this mode is League, and it's under development at Ubisoft, according to this article by, I believe, Tom Henderson over here at Insider Gaming. They don't have a release date set for it, but is expected to be in the Assassin's Creed pipeline. Sources tell Tom that League was in development long before the postponement, and this wasn't an addition because of the delay. So this is a mode that, again, is not credited for that delay. The delay, at least from what we've heard from Ubisoft, based on an internal memo, is purely to make sure everything is set and ready to go. We've seen a lot of these AAA games launch with issues on PC. The biggest example is probably the Star Wars Jedi Survivor game. That, as well as the previous game of Fallen Order, both launched poorly on PC. Not poorly in terms of sales, poorly in terms of performance. So I think part of what Ubisoft is trying to do here, maybe it's to appease the Japanese audience and make some corrections story-wise. But I think a lot of it, at least based on an internal memo, is also to make sure all platforms, including PC, are stable and as bug-free as possible ahead of launch. With that being said, John, what are your thoughts on Assassin's Creed adding in a co-op mode? Because I kind of like the idea of it.
I like the idea, and I like that they did it after they announced the delay and pulled out of the show and everything, because a lot of people are going like, what's going on? And they're like, hey, shiny object, we're going to distract you from what's going on. Yeah, co-op mode's kind of cool. I mean, this is a game that for the longest time, I think a lot of people were going like, you know what, this would be kind of cool as a co-op game. Like, there's a lot of these missions that I think would be unique if 2 players were doing it at the same time, or kind of like an open world kind of concept with 2 players, or a 2-player story mode, or whatever they choose to do here. I think the idea is kind of cool. It makes me more intrigued about the game. Does it distract me from the 1 month delay? No, I mean, honestly, in the year of our COVID-19, I don't know if we're allowed to say that on YouTube or not, whatever, in the pandemic, if you will, everything gets delayed. 1 month is better than 1 year. I don't see that as too much of a bad thing.
No.
But I do think the announcement of the co-op player, which probably would have been announced at the game show, is probably a nice little distraction to kind of calm the flames a little bit from fans panicking.
Yeah, I just think there's so many fun ways to play this out, right? Like, typically we get some of these cool little things in like different multiplayer shooter games. Like, I know in Gears of War, going through the campaign, you have this cool little setups in the different corridors where you see like 2 guys looking, and you need 2 different snipers to hit both of them at the same time so they don't alert different guards. That's something you can really only do in co-op mode, or you have to have a way of like signaling your NPC companions, whatever the case may be, and creates a really cool dynamic. If one of you guys misses the shot, the hallway fills up with guards because an alarm gets triggered, or whatever the case may be, depending on the game. I think you could have something similar here, right? You could have someone jump out of a hay bale or make a distraction jumping off of a building. You could do all different cool little mechanics where you pull someone's attention in one direction just to have someone else sneak in for something else in another area. So I don't know. I love the idea of the different schemes that this could create in the different ways areas can potentially play out, and maybe the ability to tackle high level areas earlier, right? A lot of those you have to avoid until you're a right level, where if you do get caught, you have a way of either running away to escape or taking on some of the guards that may have found you. In co-op, maybe that becomes a little bit easier with the introduction of some new distractions, new mechanics, whatever the case may be. So I don't know. I really like the idea of this. I think this would be fun to go around Japan, John, with you in co-op. So I'm looking forward to this when it does eventually launch, hopefully February 2025.
Why co-op when it can be IRL?
Yeah, I am not joining you on that mission. Assassinations IRL? No,
just explore Tokyo. Just explore Japan.
Oh, Tokyo.
Not assassinating in Japan. Jesus.
That's what I was like. I think you're on your own on that one, sir. Yeah, exploring Tokyo, I'm definitely down for IRL. Yes, absolutely. Let's talk Dune. Dune Awakening. If you guys want to be chased by the good old sandworm, you can do so here in the closed beta coming up in the near future. Sign up today to have a chance to participate in this. John, we've talked about this before. We like the Dune IP. We think it's fun. It's a cool little sci-fi action with some futuristic tones as well. And they kind of take wilderness with a different angle, right? It's fully desert-covered planets here in Arrakis. It's very different than what you typically get with a lot more of these like woodland, grassy, green areas. It is very sand covered, very hard to find resources, and this game is going to capitalize on that. With that being said, this is an MMO, so keep in mind it will be a time-consuming game because a lot of these MMOs have daily quests, a lot of them have monthly quests, a lot of them require grinding in one way or another. I don't really know what Dune is going to entail in terms of that, if there's going to be a natural eye level or item level rather, with the way the characters level up, what those skill trees are going to look like and how it's all going to play out. If I sit in a tent overnight and I don't check on my character for 2 weeks, is a sandworm going to eat me? I don't really know. So that's one question we kind of ask here, and maybe we'll get that answer here in the beta. But if you guys are interested, those surveys are now open, so make sure to reach out to Dune Awakening. You can go to their website. I don't have it right in front of me, but if you search Dune Awakening on Google, Bing, or whatever your search engine of choice is, I'm sure you could probably find it nice and easy.
I'll tell you this. This is how it works in World of Warcraft. You can log out wherever you want, as long as you're not in combat. Doesn't mean when you log back in, you won't be logged back in a spawn of a million baddies and then be thrown into combat. So your character doesn't die or anything, right? But there's advantages to logging out, like let's say in a city or a rest area. You get rest XP. You get a bonus for resting up in a city, right? Because, you know, obviously you're more well rested when you stay at a Holiday Inn versus when you stay at a tent in the middle of a desert in Arrakis. So there's, you know, it's
not wrong.
MMORPG. It's a role-playing game, right? So you don't get the rest XP, but you're also not in danger because you log out. But again, you may log in, And good old-fashioned sandworm might be there waiting to greet you and provide a little nibble on your left toe.
You got to do your walk, man.
Right?
Drag that foot, do a little stumble step, bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, work your way across the desert, find your resources, conserve your water, ladies and gentlemen. Don't cry just to cry unless you're going to drink those tears later. So have fun in that closed beta when that eventually launches. We don't have a date yet, but again, signups open now.
That was like the most depressing thing you've said in a long time. Don't cry unless you're ready to drink them tears. Like every 16-year-old emo out there is like, that's every night, bro.
Oh my gosh. They might be ready for the game then. You never know. It's the what do they call it? The life water or whatever in there.
Yeah, sure.
It all goes back to the same place. IGN, they have confirmed that Avatar: The Last Airbender, there is a AAA RPG in development at Saber Interactive and Paramount Game Studios for this one. John, Avatar games have had a rough time. Avatar movies have had a rough time. Avatar, the TV show, phenomenal, very, very good. One of the best out there, in my humble opinion, from Nickelodeon, and really animated shows in general. Really great storyline there, but it has failed to adapt to live action movies and video games over and over again. None of them seem to do very well. This one, however, I think is taking a unique angle that may set it apart from the rest. One, it's a AAA RPG, so we know it's going to take quite a bit of years of development, most likely. The other thing is that they're branching off and doing a different story. I think this is something more games need to do, more TV adaptations need to do, and you and I have definitely talked about it in the realm of TV adaptations before. Don't give us exactly what was in the game, but also don't stray away from the lore. We've seen certain ones like Halo, for example, do a terrible job of staying within the realm of the lore. They strayed off too far. But I also don't think you want to give this straight up same adaptation that we have in the games. I think it's okay to change a couple things as long as you keep it lore accurate. So I like what this one is doing here. It sounds like it's going to be within the realm of the lore, but they're going to follow a completely new story. So you have a new cast of characters. Yes, maybe they do in some way interact with older ones of legend. Maybe they have a familial relation. I don't know if the article goes into it. I didn't have a chance to fully read it yet. With that being said, I think going with a new story is one way that could set this one apart from the failed games and adaptations of the past.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I have not.
Oh, John,
Yeah.
you got to put that one on your list. You would like that one a lot, I think.
Yeah, sure. I'll just add that to all the extra spare time I have that I don't have to do things like play my semifinals game against Miami.
Oh my gosh.
Or wanting to run another wing of LFR in World of Warcraft, or trying to gear up my mage.
It is tough to choose for sure. Tough to choose indeed. But yes, if you guys are fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender, AAA RPG in development, probably quite a few years before you'll see anything on that one. I would assume it probably takes at least 5 years to get everything up and running, unless this has been in development for a little while. Again, I haven't fully read the article yet, but you guys can do so over at our friends IGN for that one. And last but not least, upcoming, we do have a free Epic Game of the Week. This one is free until October 10th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It is Bear and Breakfast, a nice little indie game where you are a bear in the wilderness creating your own bed and breakfast for friendly area or creatures and such within the forest you reside in. $19.99 is the normal value, currently free. Again, free until October 10th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. With that being said, guys, I don't have any more show notes for us here tonight, John. I think we can head on into the closing. Again, it's been a lighter week for gaming news, so not really a ton out there this week, but trying to bring you everything we did here.
Holy smokes, are we already done?
We are indeed.
What the French toast? I gotta connect my Bluetooth and everything else. I gotta do it.
Oh my gosh, what are we doing?
I don't know, Joey. So after the show, what game are you gonna be playing?
I'm going to be playing Watch John in his semifinal match against Miami in NCAA college football.
Not streaming it. It's connected to my TV. I'm going to play it on my TV because I enjoy my big screen.
You can stream it from your TV, right?
I'm not going to do that. You know why?
Why?
Because I don't care about you people.
Oh, you do, though.
Do I, though?
I want to see that action.
You want to... Subscribe to my OnlyFans Nation. That's going to do it for this episode of Level Up Live. We're going to cut Joey out there real quick so he can't respond. But before you go, make sure you follow the show on Twitter. YouTube to catch the next episode of Level Up Live. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, leave us a review. Level Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and your podcatcher of choice. Look us up. We are there for you. And we would love to hear from you. We love to hear from everyone in our community. Joey, where can they go to leave us a comment?
Absolutely. Level Up Nation and new listeners, welcome. Follow the podcast and network on Twitter/X and Facebook at OTN Media, over on Instagram and Threads at OTN_media. Find us on YouTube. We are also on Discord. Come join the community chat, discord.me/OTN.
All right, make sure you tune in next week. That is Thursday, October 10th, as we can continue. Words, difficult today. Maybe not on the 10th of October, as we continue to cover the latest in gaming news. Do your ears and eyes a favor, hit that sub, like, smash the bell, tickle it, whatever you got to do to know when the next episode of Level Up Live is ready for your entertainment and pleasures. Before we do the last intro, today is my father's birthday. I do know he does listen to the show, so a big shout out to my dad. Thank you for your support and your love as always. And happy birthday to my dad. Warren, we're not going to drop the last name, though. Simple as that. Appreciate it, Dad, and I'll bug you later. Don't worry about it. We'll catch you all next week. Enjoy your weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online. And as always,
Level up.